Every drawing I do looks like it's been drawn by a different person. How do I develop my own style? Can you develop a style, or are you just born with it? Can I copy someone else's style, someone whose drawings I really like? Hi, I'm Stephen Travers. I hear these comments and questions all the time, so I thought I'd do a video that explains my understanding of style, of drawing style, and therefore where it comes from and how we can develop it, because truly we can. So if that interests you, developing your drawing style, then stay tuned. Sometimes I receive comments from my Instagram followers saying that they recognize my drawings when they're posted before they even see that they've been posted by me, because my style is so distinctively mine. It's easily recognizable that I've drawn them. So why is this? Where did this style of mine come from? Can you develop it, or does it just happen? Are you just lucky and you're born with it? Or can you work on it? Most importantly, we're going to be looking at what creates a drawing style. We're going to be looking at where our own particular drawing style comes from. And most importantly of all, how I can develop my drawing style. And of course, there'll be a bonus point at the end, which is really important. So if you're not interested in what comes first, zip ahead to the end, and it's worth catching just that point. So, developing our drawing style. What is it? How do we do it? Let's do it. So I look at a three-dimensional object, perhaps, and I want to draw a picture of it. So I'm taking a 3D object and I need to translate it, if you like, into a two-dimensional object. And my tools to do that translation, I've got paper or whatever surface I want to use, maybe pencil or pens or sketch markers, whatever media I like to use. There could be color, there could be crayons, whatever. But using those tools, I need to translate from 3 dimensions into 2 dimensions. So I'm going to have to make a lot of changes. Now, we may be drawing from a photo. A photo, of course, is already a 2-dimensional object. So we no longer have to translate from 3 dimensions into 2 dimensions as we do if we're drawing from life. So a lot of those problems for us have already been solved, which is why drawing from a photo can often seem easier than drawing a scene from life. But a photo brings new problems for us. It flattens things out and lessens the effect of depth, which perhaps we need to put back into our drawing. A photo also captures so much detail that it can be quite overwhelming or intimidating or just impractical to try and draw it. So how do we simplify the scene that we now have to draw so much? Again, because it's how we solve these issues that will determine how our drawing looks and therefore our style. So I see every new drawing as a situation where I have a lot of very small questions that all need to be answered, or a lot of small problems that one by one each need to be solved in order for me to draw this. Let's have a look at what I mean with some of my drawings. So, if there are lots of straight lines in my drawing, do I use a ruler or do I draw them freehand? How much of all of this detail in the roof carving should I try and draw? What about a building where there's large paintings, enormous paintings set into the roof spaces? How do I draw a large painting as part of a drawing? How dark will I become in my use of tone in any given scene? How do I represent the palm fronds of a palm tree and keep them looking quite different to other foliage that might be in the scene? How do I draw sparkling interior light in grand spaces? I mean, you can't draw light, can you? How do I draw statues when there's lots and lots and lots of statues in a given scene? Do I draw them as if I'm drawing people? How much detail do you need to do? Is there a shortcut method when it's just a statue and not a real person? How do I draw the far horizon in a scene which stretches from the foreground to as far as you can see? How do I represent that that's going a long way back compared to what's in front here? How do I draw water effects in a fountain? How do I draw water so that you get the feeling you can see through the water and there's sunlight on it and going through it? How do you draw water with sketch markers and pens? How do you draw the effect of light coming through large windows into a dark corridor full of things? How do you draw snow and the effect of tracks in snow, whether it's in the sun or whether it's in the shade? How do you draw trees in full sunlight? How do you distinguish between different types of trees in a given drawing? How do you draw large close-up trees? How do you draw trees when the leaves start to become in part visible? How do you draw lots of foliage which is all bunched together and sort of stop it becoming a tangled mess? How do you draw complex interior spaces so that we still have a sense of clarity in terms of those spaces, and we can imagine how you would move through them, that it makes sense despite the fact that it's quite complicated? Will we use the same thickness pen for the entire drawing, or will we make choices to use different pens in different parts of our drawing? How will I draw nice subdued interior lighting? Or how will I draw nice subdued exterior lighting, as in this drawing of a wonderful Paris twilight with the sun filtering through that tree up there? Or how will I draw very strong, bright, high contrast in sunlight, where figures become very dark and very, very plain to see, but other parts become so light that in fact we can almost not see them at all? How do I draw that? And of course, some of those drawings contained almost all of those issues to be answered, all of those problems to be solved, all of those questions to be worked out. Some of these things I will do without even thinking about. Others I will agonize over because the problems seem huge and I don't like my solutions. And some of them I won't know, but I'll very easily be able to make choices and have a bit of training that will help me sort it out. Not every question, not every problem is equal. But together, how they all combine in my drawing is what will make my drawings look like my drawings. It creates my drawing style. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because I think it's really important. People often feel lost in thinking about style and working out style and what creates my style. And I come now to the bonus point, the bonus tip. And I do actually have a whole teaching on this, whole video on this. But for now, let me say the worst thing you can do if you want to create your own style, the most confusing thing you can do if you want to create your own style, the thing that I think people do when they say all their drawings look like they were drawn by different people is this. And that's copying the work of other artists. Because see, if I understand that every drawing is a lot of answers to questions that the artist had to ask and a lot of solutions to problems that the artist had to solve, I come to realize that if I copy another artist's artwork, what I'm copying are all of his answers to the questions, all of her solutions to the problems, all of their decisions, all of their choices. I'm just copying them. And so, of course, that drawing will look like their artwork. And if I copy a different artist's drawing, then I'll be doing the same thing with their solutions, with their answers. And therefore, my artwork will look like their artwork. But what I haven't done is I haven't had to work out what are my answers to those questions? What are my solutions to those problems? And it's only by finding consistent answers and consistent solutions that I will start to draw drawings that will start to look like each other, because I'll be having all these elements in common in each one. And that's why my drawings, you can tell they're all drawn by me, because I've consistently chosen the same answers to the questions, the same solutions to the problems for quite a long time now. I've passed my period of trying to sort out, will I use a ruler or not use a ruler? Well, how many pens will I use when I draw something? Do I worry too much about depth? What do I do with statues? How do I draw trees and leaves and all those things? I've worked all those problems out. I've answered all those questions. And so my drawings now have a consistency which creates my style. So there are things we can learn by copying. we will learn how to copy, and that is a skill, and that can be a very useful skill. But copying other artists' work will not help me create my own style. In fact, it will make it harder for me to do that because I'll be getting confused with all the style of these other artists. So how is that? Is that helpful? I hope it's clearer where our own particular drawing style comes from, and therefore some of the things we can do to help develop our own individual style further in a way in which we'd like it to go. So if this was helpful, please hit like, share, subscribe, whatever. I'd love to comment on what you think. And if you have any other ideas of places my videos could go, then please let me know. See you next time.